Okay, so I feel like I haven't seen you guys in forever, but it's only like been a week. And I think it was because I released two videos like really close together at the beginning of last week. And so there was just this long stretch where I didn't do anything. But honestly, I didn't do a whole lot of anything with reselling last week. The most I did, I kept working on my eBay editing and relisting sell similars of my whole store, but I really only took a few little chunks of time to do that. I shipped, and that was pretty much it. I went thrifting like one time and I didn't find anything. And then at the end of the week, I went again and got a few little things, and went to my little clearance center bins and got another $5 haul. I know I'm kind of behind on those videos. Um, so I think I'll have one of those out this week later on. But anyway, I want to share what sold, obviously because I wasn't working my shops very much. I didn't get that many sales, but I've got a few to share with you. And I just figured I'd stay current and keep up with this. So my weeks, normally I was doing like a Sunday to a Saturday, and then last video I included the Sunday. So we're doing Monday, and then I just went ahead all the way to Sunday. So whatever. It's a week's worth of stuff. That way, I'll just try to keep track of what days I've left off on so we don't see any repeats. I hope you all are doing good. As usual, leave a comment down below throughout the video if there was something that you saw that was new to you, or just go ahead and share how your sales were this week. Summer is winding down. Well, I don't know about temperature wise, but it's definitely here in Montana. Fall comes pretty early. Winter comes pretty early. So there's a definitely different feel in the air, even though it'll be in the 90s and smoky this week. Anyway, I love fall. I hope it's a nice fall. I sold some fabric. I do plan on having a video about fabric coming up because I'll probably title it like inventory bins of shame or something like that, because I tend to just buy fabric and then never list it. I don't know why, but I did and it's not hard, but whatever. I've got this little piece of fabric I picked up at a yard sale this summer, and there were two pieces of the same designer, Kendra Dandy. This one had lipsticks, the other one had mascara wands, and it was like, I don't know, this piece was maybe 50 cents because it's just like half of a yard, and then the other piece was like I think a full yard, and so I think she charged me $1 for that one. But anyway, half a yard of fabric sold for $16.99. So I was super thrilled with that. That was a full, no offers, no coupons, anything like that. And I'm happy. I know I've got money in those fabric bins, and I am going to do it, but I want to gather it all together, and so I can show you the extent of my shame, first of all, before I start listing it. Okay, next one. So because I did that dinnerware video, those 4 brands of like dishes and dinnerware that you should be looking for in your thrift stores and yard sales, I'll probably link, if you haven't seen it, I'll link it to the end of the video, but at the end of the video. But anyway, it's got me looking at dishes more again. And I think in that video, I even mentioned the fact that Denby can be a good seller, but not all Denby is a good seller. And so I usually try to figure out the pattern and double check it when I pick it up at thrift stores. So I was at a thrift store, I think last week. Well, the week before this week that I didn't do anything. And I saw a few little pieces of this Denby. They're like salad plates. And Google Lens is so wonderful out in the field, and I found out it was Denby Baroque was the pattern name. It just has this, pattern is just around the edges here. So there's really not much to these plates. Here's the mark on the bottom, Denby. Haha, never mind about Google Lens. This one had the pattern name right on the bottom. That was even a faster, that was a faster result than Google Lens, obviously. So I could research them very quickly, and I found out that they were pretty sought after, especially certain pieces. That's the other thing with dinnerware. It's not like all the pieces are going to be great, but salad plates seemed like they were doing pretty well. So there was these, and then there was 3 salad plates and 1 little bread and butter plate. The bread and butter doesn't sell for as much, so I just put these 2 salad plates together, and then I listed a salad plate and a bread plate together. Most that hasn't sold yet. But these 2 salad plates sold for $50, and that was the full asking price as well. Okay, I'm just popping in here as I'm editing. I'm popping in here because I realized I forgot to mention that my husband recorded himself shipping these plates. And so we just thought we would share that with you all. So here we go.
So today I'm going to show you how we ship plates. These are Denby, which has actually sold really well for us. Anything Denby in the past. Shannon obviously knows more about what patterns to look for, but I'm going to show you how we ship stuff like this. This is priority, so we're going to use a large priority flat rate box. It'll give us plenty of space for padding, make sure they get there in one piece. So first of all, put the box together. And then we're gonna go ahead and wrap each one individually with the small bubble wrap. That just gives a better layer in between each plate. Usually like that. Set that one aside. And this is 1, 2, I think 5. Seems like with this size plate, 5 of these seems to give you just enough coverage. And then set those together, and then I just kind of test to see, and you know, there's plenty, 2 layers there, plenty of thickness. It's not gonna get squished together and broken. Then we use the bigger one and bring these together, which just gives us that extra protection. We want to make sure it gets there safely. And then I like to pull these sides down because you have that bubble wrap there, and it's really not doing anything unless you fold it over kind of like a present. So you can see those edges there are actually a little bit vulnerable, but by pulling this together and then taping it, it actually gives protection on all 4 sides. Now this box obviously is much bigger, but we want that. We want as much padding as possible. Because I get some boxes that have been shipped to me and there's not much left of the outer box, honestly. So the better we package this internally, better the chances are going to get it in one piece. So we have some of this wider bubble wrap. You can do bigger pieces. We get that online. And then just by folding this, and if you have some of those pillow cushions, those are great too. We don't really have any of those right now, but use this pretty consistently, and we've never had any breakage that I can think of. So that's it. That's 2 plates. You could probably fit 4 of that size plate in here safely. Maybe 6 if you really squished it, but I like to make sure there's plenty of padding. So if we were going to do like 6 plates or bowls, we'd probably use not the flat rate, but just a large priority box, because that one actually is quite a bit taller, so you can fit more plates going up.
Okay, another quick editing remark. Late night editing, Shannon here. Anyway, I've seen my husband's shipping video now, and so I just wanted to add, for this particular sale, he used the large flat rate box. That obviously is going to depend whether you want to use that or if you want to just use a box that you have. A lot of it is based on location of the buyer, how much they've paid. In that case, Denby plates, those plates, even though they're 2 solid plates, they're actually fairly heavy. And so I just charged priority mail shipping calculated, and they paid 18 something dollars. So it was really close to what a large flat rate costs anyway. So that worked out really good. Her location was across the country from us. It just lets us use a box that we already have, a free mailing box from the post office. If they were closer, like if she lived in California or Oregon or something like that, the large flat rate would not have been the best deal because she would have paid a lot less. So in that case, we probably would have just tried to use one of our own boxes, but keeping in mind that using your own box sometimes also requires making a box or cutting it down or doing something like that. So time is money. So sometimes you just kind of have to weigh all those different factors. But I did get good feedback. I'm going to pop up the feedback right here. The person was super happy with her plates. They arrived there safely. And so good job, honey, on another good packing job. Next up, this was listed for a little while. The brand is Barrick. It's vintage, like 80s, 90s. You can see Barrick 2. It's got a designer there and still made in China, like, you know, maybe 90s Y2K. I'm not positive on that. But anyway, it was embellished. It had this huge sunflower on it. I was like, you know, someone's going to want that. So it did take a little while, but it did eventually sell for $30. And by a little while, I mean probably I listed it in the spring. Okay. We sold a hat. Full price, $25 for this hat. We pick up our hats in a variety of places. I have mentioned that one of my next $5 hauls, and that's actually the one that should be coming out this week, my husband was going to chime in and talk about baseball caps a little bit and just kind of why we pick up what we pick up. And, you know, you can see them in my what solds every week. There's usually at least 1 or 2 hats that have sold, and it's very bread and butter for us. This is actually a really nice price for this hat, $25. Most of ours sell between $15 and $25, but I can pick up a bunch at our little bin stores, especially vintage ones. And so we'll try to share some information in that haul video about hats themselves. Anyway, I don't remember exactly. This was either at the bins or it was at Goodwill. Goodwill prices their hats at $2 here. So a lot of times, if it's a hat that I think will sell, I'll just go ahead and get that. And sometimes I have a 20% off coupon as well. Okay, next one, Peter Millar. I listed this as part of my listing challenge, and they were just shorts I picked up somewhere along the line. I was just trying to get to some of my summer stuff before it didn't make sense to list a lot of summer stuff. And here's the tag, Peter Millar. It's a brand to kind of keep an eye out for. Certain pieces do sell better than others, but these golf shorts did sell very quickly. And those actually sold with an offer for $24. So that was another thing I did this week when I couldn't list a bunch. I was doing other things. We were busy with other projects and other things happening this week. Nothing bad or anything, but just not reselling related. And so a couple times I just went through and sent offers to people. So we got a few sales when I did that. So $24 for that pair of shorts. then Rain Spooner. Now, we've talked about my Hawaiian shirt haul, and I did get a bunch of Rain Spooners, but this one I picked up not in that haul. I actually only paid like a couple dollars for this at a local thrift store. It has an older, like vintage Rain Spooner tag. That one actually sold for $33.99, so $34, not the $40. And that was an offer I sent as well. But just kind of a cool, the theme was, it's a map of California and it's wine country, so it's connected to like a wine map kind of thing. And then Patagonia. Now I want you to look at this listing if you have time. I want you to look at this listing and see what I did wrong that you will probably notice right away that it took me until after it sold to realize what I had done. And I was looking at the sold. It actually sold for $24.64. I think it was, I sent out some weird percentage of offer or something like that. And I didn't even put the name Patagonia in the title. So it just goes to show. And I got like comments right away. I got, it got attention right away. So the name Patagonia is in all the item specifics. And I don't think it's in my description, but it is in the item specifics. So you can see it right here, the brand, right? So that does tell you that people will find your item if you fill out those item specifics. That definitely search is taking those into account. So that was kind of an interesting lesson. Fitzroy is this pattern on the, from what I understand, what I've seen, like it doesn't matter what animal it is, but if it's got this coloring with the mountains and everything, that's known as Fitzroy. So like I've had a hat with a fish on it that has that coloring and that design on it, and it was a Fitzroy trout, whatever. That's what I understand that to be. So again, it was about $24.50 for that. This next one I only picked up because it was new with tags. Matilda Jane, I think it was a bigger deal a few years back. I think it sold a lot better. And I've just kind of been hearing from different resellers, different reselling groups that like their Matilda Jane is just sitting. But it was new with tags. And so of course I had never found any Matilda Jane while it was hot. And so that should tell me something. I found a few pieces recently and I'm like, if I'm finding it, it means nobody wants it anymore. Anyway, but it did sell for $26.99. So I'm not upset about that. I think I paid about $7 because it was new with tags. Next one was our best sale of the week, pretty much. It was, okay, so I found this little piece first. It's a piece of aluminum. It says Columbia Falls, Montana, August 15th, 1955. Now I'm going to try to remember this history that I learned. But there's an aluminum mill, something like that, that was in Columbia Falls, which is like the next town over. Or, yeah, kind of pretty much the next town over from us. And this was kind of like a commemoration thing. Like when it opened, these, I think, were handed out to people when this mill or this place opened. So I found that at an estate sale. And it was like 25 cents or 50 cents or something like that. I just thought it was really interesting. And so I found that. And then another time, I found this mug. Okay, so you can see, here's the picture of the other side. So the other side of that little thing says Anaconda, and that was the name of the mill. And then I found a mug another day. I can't remember. I'm thinking I found it on a road trip, or I found it, not far from here. Maybe it was one of the local thrifts. But I was like, oh, Anaconda, that's just like that little thing that I found. So I got it. And I think we tried listing them separately for a while. And then we just decided, my husband decided, let's just lot them up because it's the same buyer might be interested in both. And now we had a higher price on it, and it would get watchers. It would, we sent out offers like nothing. So in my dealio where I am like ending listings and relisting things or selling similar, I just did this listing and I dropped the price to $99, $99.99. And it sold within a couple days. Full asking price, $100. Was not even a local person who bought it. It was somebody, maybe their grandfather worked at that mill or, something like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Then, what do I have here? Oh, yes. This was not, it's out of order in my list I was looking at because I sold these the other day and I sent out an offer and then they didn't pay right away. So they just paid, so we still need to ship them. These sold for $40, not $50. But I think this is the third pair I shared with you in the last couple weeks. It's polo jeans. So Ralph Lauren. It's like this, they call it military surplus type thing. It's ripstop fabric. It's cargo shorts. Let me see if I can get closer. Polo Jeans Company, Ralph Lauren. So vintage-ish, Y2K. Anyway, like I said the last couple times, I will pick these up for sure because I sold a pair for $50, a pair for $40, and another pair for $40. So definitely has been a good shorts design to keep an eye out for. Okay, so that's it for eBay. Let's hop over to Posh. I sold this sweater. It's a wool blend Nike Golf sweater, but it has the Texas Longhorns logo, but Texas, like the golf team or whatever. So it took a little while. I think we listed it last fall, and it finally, we had one other item I bought at the same time, maybe a jacket. I think it was a Nike like windbreaker jacket, and I think we sold that. But this sweater sold for $29. Here is an item that was this close to being donated. I bought it because I was like, oh, how stinking cute. This will be perfect for Depop. This will be perfect for Posh. And like nobody was interested at all. I'm sure my listing needed some work. I don't know. Look at all my labels are like sideways. Like I don't know what was happening here. And it's been listed so long, like the price on Posh kind of, when I would send offers, the price would drop. And I just I didn't care enough about it to even look at it or worry about or anything. But it was cute. I sold it for $11. I'm like, whatever. It's gone. It's like probably just as easy to throw it into a shipping bag and send it on its way as it is to throw it in a bag and take it to be donated. So at least I got a couple dollars out of it. Like just a couple dollars. Anyway, this style Western jacket I can find fairly often here in Montana. And so I do usually pick them up, especially if I think they're vintage. This one was made in the USA. It had a nice tweed, like herring, I don't know what you call that. Not herringbone, like a window pane, kind of check plaid, whatever. Glen plaid? That might be a Glen. Anyway, sold for $40. J. Jill, I got an offer for $15. I was kind of in that mode of just trying to move some things through. So 15 is not wonderful, but it was just a size medium. And I was just happy to have that gone. Again, another item that's been listed way too long that needs to just be gone. And so the same thing, the price had dropped on it and I hadn't really paid attention to it. I even it sold and I told my husband, I said, we still have that. Don't we? Please tell me we still have that. And it sold for $9. But this was a nice sale. This was a vintage North Face fleece vest that I picked up. It was made in the USA. So probably 80s or 90s. You can look, the tag looks a little bit, their logo changes a little bit over the years. And anyway, just kind of a basic red fleece hoodie. We use the word gorp core. I don't know if you've heard that word before, but so gorp, if you've ever heard of gorp, it stands for good old raisins and peanuts, which is kind of a name for a trail mix that they use, especially in the Pacific Northwest. I remember hearing it out there. You would get peanuts and raisins, gorp, that you could take with you while you were hiking. So they, as an aesthetic, people who like to dress in those outdoor clothing like North Face and Patagonia and, in the Pacific Northwest, people dress like that all the time. There was even a clip of oh man, my brain, a comedian. I watch him all the time. Oh my goodness. Anyway, it'll come to me while I'm talking. So he did a whole thing about the Pacific Northwest and how people dress as if a hike is going to break out, which just cracks us up because we live there and it's totally true, right? They just dress like they're going hiking, even if they're just going to town to go shopping or whatever. So that whole look is called gorpcore, and it's an aesthetic or a look that's popular on Depop or Poshmark or whatever. So it's just a hashtag or a keyword that we use when we're listing this type of stuff. And we like listing that type of stuff because we can find it here in Montana. And Jim Gaffigan. See, how could I forget that? Jim Gaffigan. Anyway, it's very funny. If you haven't watched him, he cracks us up. Next one. Do you watch Jim Gaffigan? Go ahead. Let me know in the comments. Knox Rose. So I can't get over. Knox Rose just sells. I know they sell it at Target. And it's not going to be huge money, but I've shown you before. I learned this from Kaylee Elaine, and, I've been mostly just sticking to dresses, larger sizes and dresses, very boho, flowy kind of dresses. But I couldn't pass this one up because it was new with tags. And even the dresses, you're only talking $18 to $25 is what they're going to sell for. I've told you about that before. And then this is new with tags, just a basic kind of white blouse, but it was 2XL and it sold for $19. And I'm like, that's not too bad. Easy to list, easy to ship, easy all over. And then kind of another item that's been listed way too long. I probably could have pulled it, put it on Ruby Lane, but it's Sarah Coventry, and it's very few pieces of hers that will sell for a premium. I do kind of I collected it a little bit for a while. So I do have pieces I need to get listed and just kind of move the collection on. But I love Sarah Coventry jewelry and buying and selling it because each piece, kind of like Avon, has a name. And the history of Sarah Coventry was just so interesting. And so because I love to research, it's kind of like when I'm researching flatware. I love finding the names of the patterns. So this one is called Dynasty. It's from 1973. There are so many catalogs out there that you can find the names, you can find, and you can sell the pieces a lot better if you know the names of the piece. I love this modernist look to it anyway, but $11, it's moved on. I don't have to think about it anymore. And Sarah Coventry is not hard to find, so I'm sure I'll even come across that necklace again someday. We are going to move on to Etsy at this point. If you watched my live or watched the replay, this is the pattern. I don't think I showed this in my last What Sold. And the reason I didn't show it is because I had meant to talk about it because it had sold, but I couldn't find it. So I had meant to talk about that in my What Sold video, but then I forgot. And I didn't want to say it had sold because it sold, and if I couldn't find it, then I was going to have to cancel, right? I couldn't find the pattern, couldn't find it. So I told this story in that live, if you saw it in the replay. And I finally figured it out by giving it a day. I figured it out that it was a pattern that I showed in my sewing pattern video. And so I still kind of had this stack of patterns, like some were new, some were old, or some were listed and some were not listed. And I just had this like pile still from when I had done that video. I had never gone back and filed anything back again. So all of a sudden it was like, bing, I know where that is. And of course, we've been remodeling the eBay room, the reselling layer, and stuff had gotten moved. And so I had to go out in the garage and find the pile. Where was the new location of the pile? Anyway, found it, shipped it, all on time. So that was good. $40 for that pattern, but look how amazing that pattern is. Look at that top with the big bow. So cool. And it went to Australia. Next one up is just another simplicity. One of the patterns I had moved over from eBay, had been sitting on eBay forever. Moved it to Etsy and sold for $10. And then over in my husband's shop, he sold, originally it's a 45 record rack to hold your 45s. And he sold that for $24. And I just remember something. But anyway, okay, so he sold that for $24. We've done pretty well with this style of, decor, vintage decor. You can market it not just as a 45 holder, but as a mail organizer, letter organizer, paperwork, all that kind of stuff. Or, people who collect records might just use it as a record holder. And then he also sold these little cups. There is a carafe or a wine carafe type thing. Sake, you could use these for tea, but there is a carafe that goes with it. But we had just found these. I found them years ago and I didn't list them right away. We knew they were pottery craft. I'm not sure if they're specifically marked. I think the carafe is marked. But we had done, it looked familiar. Pottery craft has a very distinctive look. And I had figured out what they were and what they went to. So I don't think I had these ever in my Etsy shop, but somehow they ended up with my husband's stuff. So he listed them and sold them for $18. He got a really nice comment from the person who ordered these and said that they loved how he was curating his shop and that they would definitely maybe be back to shop some more. So that was really cool because that kind of inspired him to get listing and add some more items to his shop, which he did today. But anyway, all our shops are in the description down below. If you just want to be nosy or curious and poke around in our shops and see what we really do. It's been interesting selling similar on all my listings. I had told you I'm doing that not just to update my first class shipping, but also to look for mistakes, look for different things. I'm lowering prices, I'm changing prices, just doing all sorts of little housekeeping type stuff. And there's places like when my husband lists from his phone, it comes out with a bunch of extra spacing in it. And so I'm just kind of trying to clean things up. And then also there's no place on the phone app for condition. There's no condition box, but there is on the desktop. So I'm just kind of copying, pasting his condition notes up into that box just to kind of make it feel a little bit more complete. And, any kind of tweaking I think I can do might help kind of make this, he sells plenty of stuff if we don't fix those things, but, I just figure while I'm there, go ahead and just kind of clean everything up. So it's just been kind of interesting to see, maybe things that I just didn't quite have, like the listings were not optimal. I don't remember why I started this story. I'm sure I had a point. I don't know what it had to do with metal and tweed. Oh. that's why, because I was saying that if you go ahead and look at our shops, you know, there are some listings you might look at and be like, what in the world were they doing? But sometimes it's that, you know, starting on in the phone app and going to the desktop, and, you know, things might get missed or whatever. And you may even notice in eBay, you'll eventually be able to pick out my husband's listings versus my listings. Because if all the item specifics are filled out, then it's my husband, and if they're not, then they're mine. Um, if it's very detailed, then it's my husband's, and if it's not, then it's mine. So anyway, I thought we would do a video someday about, you know, husband versus wife listing and just kind of show the different ways that we list and just see what happens. But okay. Ruby Lane. Ruby Lane is still recovering from the fact that during my listing challenge, I was only working on eBay. So a lot of these shops are kind of recovering from that fact, but I sold these 4 little bread and butter plates on Ruby Lane for $20. The brand is Stangle. I'm going to give you the back stamp. Now, Stangle, I get drawn to Stangle all the time at thrift stores because I love how it looks, and it just does not sell like it should. It's just one of those dinnerware. I just think it's awesome, and it's vintage, and it's really cool looking, very folksy and everything like that. And I'm sure there's pieces that actually do well, but I couldn't resist these 4 plates. And then the thrift store, I think I got these at the bins at the clearance center, okay? And then in the main thrift store, they had more, and they had them priced even crazier. And I thought, well, if these like I paid nothing for these, and so if they sell quickly, then maybe I'll go grab the other ones. And they didn't. They took a while to sell. I just was thinking about these plates and thought, you know what, maybe I should just like redonate these or whatever. And just as I have that thought, then they sell. So $20 plus shipping. This was a nice sale on Ruby Lane. I found these tumblers. There was actually 5 of them, and we ended up keeping one. My husband uses it for his nightcap. And the owl on it, it's very interesting. It's a smoked little roly-poly kind of style glass. Smoked glass. And then the owl design is etched. Now, the owl design is very similar to the Korok owl design. It's got the moon and stars and everything like that, but I could not find any connection to Korok. And these, I don't know if somebody just like did these on their own. I'm not sure. So we ended up just selling these finally for $50 for the 4 of them. And then the last one, this was kind of fun. This is on Ruby Lane still. And, okay, so it says 5-carat diamond ring. Of course not. But what this was is this little tool, gadgety type thing, vintage. You can see the Made in the USA down here. And it helps you pull your zipper up without needing somebody to help you zip up the back of your dress. So I think the little ring is just, it's easier to hang on to or whatever. But I found this at our local antique mall. There was a booth, and she had all sorts of little gadgety odds and ends that she had kind of marked down to $1 a piece. And so I ended up buying that for $1, and it sold for $14. So it's a dress, like a zipper pull helper kind of thing. Isn't that cute? Anyway, those were my the sales for the week. And like I said, leave a comment below if you had any good sales this week, something that stood out to you or whatever, or overall, how are your sales doing for August? This week should be a little bit more normal for me as far as the amount I'll be able to work and list. So we're just hoping to keep on keeping on. And I hope you enjoyed the little shipping demonstration. Like I said, we're going to try to do that here and there, and then I might also pull those little clips out and just post them separately and put them in a playlist so that all the different shipping tips or demos can be seen separately. So that's on my to-do list. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a great end of summer. School, has it started yet for you guys yet? My kids are homeschooled, and they want to get started. So we're going to use a new program, and so they're kind of anxious to get that going. So anyway, we might start that this week too. Busy. All right. You guys take care, and we will see you later on this week.